Hello and welcome or welcome back to the Import Export Hub channel, everybody. Bogdan here, your host for the next couple of minutes. Thanks for joining in. I hope that you are all doing great. And guys, without prolonging this intro too much, let's get right to the subject here. And basically, in this video, I will cover the US import-export dynamics for 2023, and I will start with exports, who on a year-on-year basis shrunk with $43.8 billion almost, bringing the overall exports to some $2 trillion, with Canada here, Mexico, and China also as the main partners, followed in this top 10 list by others like, I don't know, the Netherlands or Japan, and it ends here with Brazil, to whom the United States managed to export in 2023 some $44.8 billion worth of products. Unfortunately, this is 16% lower than in 2022. Now, relative to the share of US exports, these top 10 countries make up for roughly 65%, not at all concentrated, with Canada and Mexico. So basically, we are talking about the other two USMCA partners having some 33% share cumulatively. In what concerns the compound annual growth rate, and I'm talking here for the last 5 years, we see that overall the value is positive. We are talking about some 4%, as 2022 marked the surge of US LNG exports towards Europe, and that's why we see this value, or at least it is partially explaining it. Drilling down on a year-on-year basis, things are a little bit more volatile. It's understandable. And guys, here I've highlighted in red the top 10 absolute negative changes, and in green the opposite, so positive ones. And on the negative side, we have big contractions relative to China, Switzerland, Brazil, or India, for example. While on the positive side, the ones that make it in the top 10 are much lower in what concerns their ranking, and basically only the Netherlands and Germany are in the top 10 list, while Belgium, Australia, Malaysia, Saudi Arabia, and also Iraq are much lower. So these were the US dynamics in terms of exports. And guys, now I will take a look at the imports. And here, guys, 2023 was a historic moment, as Mexico surpassed China as US number one trading partner, of course, relative to imports. And this is quite relevant, as some of the activities are nearshoring in Mexico. And here it's worth mentioning that a lot of Chinese companies also nearshored or French-shored in Mexico, but this is another story. So what I'm trying to say is that when you read or hear about decoupling from China, take the information with a pinch of salt, as 100% decoupling from China is almost impossible. Anyways, coming back to the table here, we see that Mexico was US main partner in 2023. It was followed by China, and on the third spot we have Canada, with the top 10 list continuing with countries like, I don't know, Japan or Vietnam, and it ends here with Ireland. Now, relative to the compound annual growth rate, for the last 5 years, we have a positive 4.36%. And the interesting thing in this top 10 list is that China managed a negative 1%, confirming that China plus one is the current strategy pursued by the US companies, who began to diversify their sourcing more actively. Okay, so guys, these are US overall imports. Now let's see the dynamics of different partners. And as in the case with the exports, here too I've highlighted the top 10 absolute positive and negative changes. And on the positive side, we have Mexico, Germany, Italy, Singapore, the Netherlands, or I don't know, Hungary or Venezuela. While on the negative side, I saw the Russian Federation here, yes, some $10 billion contraction relative to 2022. It's understandable. Then we have China, of course, some $127 billion. Then we have Canada, Vietnam, surprisingly, at least for me. Thailand, also Indonesia or Malaysia. And these last two with some 9.2 and 9.6 billion dollars respectively. So quite big contractions. Unfortunately, here we don't have another important US partner, which is India, as it didn't make the top 10 list, if you want. So on the one side, this is a good thing, but on the other, we still speak about a negative change of some $3.7 billion. And okay, you might say that given the overall value, this is peanuts, but my educated guess is that this is not just a phase, but a systemic change where the United States companies didn't find in India the required capabilities for their friendshoring activities. And we might see the values decrease even more in the years to come as both nearshoring and reshoring activities will take place in the next couple of years. Anyways, with both the overall exports and imports, allow me to dig deeper and talk about specific products that experienced growth. Just a second. Okay, so we are here. So I was talking about the different products that experienced the growth and contraction from the export and import flow. Again, highlighting only the top 10 and basically on the export flow. So on HS4 basis headings, we see that petroleum gas has had the largest absolute negative change of some $28.7 billion. It was followed by his cousin, petroleum oils, and then we have gold, heading 7108. Electronic integrated circuits had $8 billion contraction, while the main US agri-exports, like, I don't know, soya, maize, and cotton, I will include cotton as well as agri-exports, had a cumulative contraction of almost $15 billion, which is quite important. On the expansion side, we have the covert heading 9999. So we are talking about commodities not elsewhere specified here. And we have some $24 billion more exports. And here, guys, you can expect that, I don't know, 90% of this value is in fact aid towards different countries, Ukraine included. And then we have, I don't know, parts and accessories for tractors. And I guess John Deere is the one to thank for. On the third spot, we have human blood, Yaich, who had a year-on-year absolute positive change of roughly $6.7 billion. And it goes on until we reach the 10th largest absolute positive change, which is automatic data processing machines, heading 8471, who had almost a $2 billion change. Moving now to the import flow, guys, it seems that petroleum imports suffered the most in 2023, some $32.3 billion fewer imports for crude petroleum. It was followed by automatic data processing machines, and on the third spot we have another petroleum related heading, but this time we're talking about heading 2710. From what I see, furniture and parts thereof suffered quite a lot too, some $9 billion contraction. Smartphones as well, and the list ends here with heading 7101. So platinum, palladium or rhodium, who had a $5.2 billion contraction. So guys, these were the top 10 headings who experienced contractions from the import flow, and now I will show you the top 10 headings who experienced the expansion. And here vehicles leads the way with some 42 billion dollars. It was followed by human blood and semiconductor devices. This last heading managing some 8.8 billion dollars expansion. Other headings that experienced expansions include electric accumulators, gold or turbojets, and finally, guys, the top 10 list ends here with heading 2937, who had a $3.7 billion expansion. And guys, with this being said, these were the US import-export dynamics for 2023. Thank me by hitting those small vanity buttons below this video. I hope you've liked it. By the way, don't forget to leave a comment. Don't be shy. Of course, if you feel like it. And as usual, until next time, keep your business safe. Thanks.